I wouldn't say, though, this guy, CJay's winner here, Omarion Hampton, got too bad of a landing spot, given that Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh pounded out style offense. I have some stats on that, but CJay, why don't you take it away with Hampton? Why do you consider him the biggest running back winner of this class?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly like what you said with Greg Roman, Harbaugh, just no nonsense. That's what Hampton does. It's like 3,000 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 2 seasons as a starter. He really does it all. He's going to be going against Najee, who we know what Najee is at this point. He's a plotter. He'll go over. Again, he'll probably go over 1,000 yards. That's what the guy does every single year. But yeah, it's just he's going to bring juice to that offense. There's a reason why they drafted him where they drafted him, and he's just going to have the vision, the burst, the finishing ability, and he's not a like a Trevion Henderson as a receiver or as a pass blocker, which could hurt him on third down a little bit. But he's more than capable as a receiver. I think PFF grade is around like 70 or so, and he could start off a little bit slow, like some rookies do, where they are going to be behind the veteran for a little bit, maybe a few weeks. Harbaugh will lean on Najee a little bit, but overall it's going to be Hampton's backfield. Right now he's my RB2 and my 102 in Dynasty in rookie draft.
I love it. Yep, that's exactly where I would have him as well. I don't have Najee as a concern at all. He got a 1-year deal. It can get up to $9.5 million. It's right around $4 million guaranteed. So it was like it's a nothing deal. That makes me think, especially when you go and use your first round pick, that they have any interest in using Najee. If and when this guy fell to them, they just jumped right on the opportunity. Top 10 in rush attempts every single year in 11 years for Greg Roman. Top 10 in rush yards every single year, but one of those 11 years, top 10 in rush touchdowns in all of those, or 7 to 10 rather, and top 5 in 5 of those 10. So they love pounding the rock. I love Hampton too. Freak athlete, all the skills that you mentioned, and a great offense for him to thrive. Anything to add there on Hampton, or do you want to move to your guy, Tanner?
I like the Hampton landing spot a lot. So, I mean, maybe in the first year it might not be what we think, because like you said, Najee probably might go for 1,000 yards. Who knows? They just signed him. Who knows how that split's going to go? But we know Hampton's a great prospect. First round draft capital is exciting. I had Kaleb over him, so obviously I thought Kaleb would go round 2. He didn't. So he gets a perfect fit with the Steelers. Did not go as early as I thought he'd go. But this also kind of relates to Najee. So Najee leaves Pittsburgh, goes to Los Angeles, and there's a ton of opportunity to be had in Pittsburgh. And I think Kaleb embodies exactly what a Pittsburgh Steeler is. He's going from white, yellow, and black to white, yellow, and black. But so for Steelers running backs specifically, I feel like they're just kind of like bruisers. And that is just exactly what Kaleb Johnson is. He faced stacked boxes on over 50% of his career runs in college, and not a single other running back in this class was over 39%. And he had not a single fumble. So Tomlin's going to love him. He's exactly what Tomlin embodies in his Steelers culture. And he's going to be a lot better than Najee, if I'm being honest. Watching Najee the last few years just kind of slow down has been just like a broken clock. It's just every time Najee takes the field, he's just so slow when he gets the ball. I don't know what it is. Every year he's gotten slower. But that's a great fit for the Chargers. But Kaleb Johnson, I'm huge on for the Steelers. I think that's a great fit. I had him as high as my RB2. I would still probably put him RB2A to B range with Hampton. I think he can have as good of a career as Hampton. I don't really worry about draft capital too much. There's a lot of things that I like about Hampton, and there's a lot of things that I like about Kaleb. There are very different running backs, if I'm being honest. But a lot of people think that Caleb's main factor is he is not much of a pass catcher, but that's not even true. He had an 82nd percentile college target share. So he might eat into that receptions workload that Warren gets, Jaylen Warren. And I think Warren's on a franchise tag. Is that right? Or tender.
Yeah,
tag
franchise tender, second round tender. Yep.
Yeah. So, I like Warren, but we know he's not a workhorse. Kaleb Johnson is a workhorse. He's 6'1", 225 pounds. So I think Kaleb Johnson is going to start off slow. Warren's going to get most of the work from the get-go, but I think eventually, even halfway through the season, I think we'll see Kaleb eventually getting that 3-down role.
I 100% agree. 261 carries up for grabs, too, from last year. Third most in the league. 309 running back opportunities. Also third most. So wide open pie for this guy. And it is a huge mouth to feed. And I totally agree with you that he just feels like a Steeler. The colors already are perfectly matched, like you mentioned, but just the big body. It's such a classic Tomlin fit. And for many years, I know the last couple of years, Najee's been such a slug that they've had to resort to this committee. But ultimately, for so many years, whether it was Lev Bell, even Willie Parker, 320 touch seasons were a norm for the Tomlin. Even Najee as a rookie had like 370 touches, I believe it was. And so Tomlin does love to feed one guy. He's got the quotes on the record about how it makes you harder to defend if you can just lean on one big body. And to me, that seems exactly like Kaleb Johnson. So I am with you for sure. We have one sleeper winner we're going to get to you guys as well. But as you're out there, any thumbs, likes, really help us get out to more people, shares, retweets, all that good stuff. So thanks again so much. Get all those questions in. I see our guy Mo is in the comments. I see Bulldog. Great to see you. Some classics coming out of the woodwork. Chase MG as well. Shadow CJay is a vibe. It is a scary sight over there. CJay, the prison CJay.
I know. I need to flip the light to the front. That's the problem.
We got to get you a ring light over there. And don't worry, Mo. Those Trey Harris numbers are coming. The old man lover over here is plenty of Trey Harris love coming shortly.
Yeah,
my highest owned player early.
Let's get Tyler Warren in the Wildcat.
Yeah, we'll talk about him too as well. But the last running back winner we wanted to touch upon is Jaydon Blue. CJay wrote about this guy in his sleeper article just a week ago. You actually crushed that. CJ Schefter over there. Like Pat Bryant was in there. Just killing the draft as a whole there. There's a few more big hits. But Jaydon Blue, probably the sneaky biggest hit, in my opinion, landing with the Cowboys. We just talked about the Steelers vacating a ton of volume. Nobody has more available volume, though, than the Dallas Cowboys. 317 carries, 382 total opportunities. That's 92% of their shares up for grabs. And sure, they also drafted Phil Maffa, a big body. I get it. He's probably going to eat in this form a little bit of a thunder lightning. Yes, they signed Javonte Williams. I think he's toast at this point in his career. And meanwhile, Jaydon Blue is bringing a ton to the table. 4.25 pro day. I know it's pro day, so I don't want to overreact to it. I get that you got to add a little bit there. But even still, potentially the fact that this guy ran at the combine a 4.38, already blazing fast, but maybe even sub 4.3, 40, just absolutely electric. But that is far from the only thing he brings to the table. Number one in yards after contact per attempt in this class. Almost 72% of his yards came, actually 73% of his rush yards were after contact, which was also number one in this class. 3.4 yards per carry when hit at when he's hit at or behind the line of scrimmage. So he was churning whenever he got hit. Still making a ton of good things happen. 25% target rate was number two in this class. He was in the slot on 16% of routes. That was number one in this class. A lot of interesting metrics. This guy, yes, he mostly split his time, but I'm telling you, he could shoulder a good chunk of that available 380 touches and bring true electricity when you're only competing with a seventh-round pick and a toast Javonte Williams. I think Blue is walking into the most dynamite possible landing spot. In fact, I kind of want to compare this one to my loser at the same time and kill two birds with one stone. I was convinced DJ Giddens was going to go there. They had the KC offensive coordinator is now their line coach over there, the KC State guy, or Kansas State rather, not KC. And he ultimately – though I thought that dot connection was going to be perfect. They had the running back queued up. DJ Giddens was still there, a true workhorse back. And ultimately, they pass on Giddens. They go with Jaydon Blue, despite that familiarity, despite the fact that Giddens could have been probably a better workhorse for them. And Giddens continued his free fall from there. I don't understand the Giddens. I know he was one of your guys too, CJ. 9.78 RAS score, 48th out of 2,100 running backs since 1987. Truly 99th percentile athleticism for DJ Giddens. And sure, Blue is up there too. But to me, the fact that the Cowboys went with Blue, passed on Giddens, who, again, they had people in the building that worked with Giddens last year, tells me, one, how much they love Blue, and two, is maybe we were all a little bit too hyped on Giddens, who ends up landing, and why he's partly a loser, not just because he got passed by the Cowboys, but he lands with the Colts and it's just a clear-cut handcuff. Now, if something happens to Jonathan Taylor, we know that this run game has been very productive under Shane Steichen, so I do think DJ Giddens could be a very viable handcuff, still very draft-worthy, but in terms of landing in so many of these valuable openings, and again, the Cowboys, the one I thought he was going to go to, doesn't quite happen. So, CJ, anything you want to add? I know Blue was one of your guys. I know Giddens was also one of your guys. It seems like one's going to end up vaulting himself up the ranks, whereas the other is going to be falling. Do you feel similarly or anything different in terms of your opinion on these two?
Yeah, I mean, Blue is electric, though. He's such a great pass catcher. Texas used him on a ton of wheel routes. He cooked Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. There was just times all throughout
2 touchdowns, right?
Yeah, he's an unbelievable pass catcher. They can line him up in the slot, out of the backfield, just crazy pass catcher. But then Giddens, it was such a sad day. Me and Tanner were texting back and forth. Is this the time Kansas City's going to do it? They're right in the backyard. So we had two teams, one that plays down the street, and then the connection in Dallas too.
Yeah, Devin Neal, right? Like, what the hell?
Dude, I don't know. The Chiefs had a good draft, but why would we not draft Devin Neal, especially when he falls to round 6?
Yeah.
I had a round 3 at least or 4 grade on him.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah, the Kansas and Kansas State boys it was a sad day. But yeah, Giddens, it's a tough landing spot, of course. I mean, he does have RB1 upside if he ever gets in the field. It's up to Taylor's health, and then he'll be locked in there for the rest of his career. So
I'll touch on Blue. Sorry, go ahead. You got more, CJ?
No, you're good. No, go.
I was gonna say Jaydon Blue is kind of him and Brashard Smith, I'd say, are very similar in terms of them being the two main pass catching backs, I'd say, in this class. I also liked LaQuint Allen a lot. I know CJ did a little bit too. He's more of a pure runner though. But he actually might even be a better receiver than Jaydon Blue, to be quite honest. But this pick by the Cowboys kind of makes me think that they're going to just feed CeeDee Lamb and just throw the ball, because I don't see them running a lot with Jaydon Blue. He's not really a huge he's in a workhorse. He's a pass catching back, right? And they just got rid of Rico Dowdle. So what do they got? They got Deuce Vaughn. He's very small, probably the smallest running back in the entire league. Jaydon Blue, that's pretty much it. So I don't think they're going to be doing a lot of rushing, but I think Jaydon Blue could have, his most production as a pass catcher easily. We know he's a good pass catcher, so he'll definitely be running routes most likely. As for Giddens, like Nick said, he's just athletic. He's a freak, but he gets a horrible landing spot. Not necessarily horrible. The Colts have a great O-line, but Taylor is just the RB1 there, without a doubt. So unless they move off of him or he gets injured, which does happen, has happened before many times, Giddens, he's probably an elite handcuff. And then another RB loser, is this? I think this is CJ's, but Sampson obviously is another loser as he lands with the Browns. And they took Quinshon Judkins in the second round. I actually like Judkins over Trevion. I did pre-draft. I do post-draft. Henderson lands with the Patriots. So he's with Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. There's a little bit of competition there. The role is wide open in Cleveland for Judkins. Chubb is done. He's not good anymore. All the 600-pound squat videos you're seeing in the offseason, stop buying the hype. Nick Chubb, he's a GOAT. We respect him. We love him, but he's never coming back. He's not the same. The torch has been passed. It's going to be Judkins. Henderson is solid. CJay likes him a lot. I think he can probably be an RB1 in the future, but this year, probably not, just because Gibson takes on that pass catching role a little bit, and Ramondre is like their true rusher. And they do like Ramondre. Although they benched him last year, didn't they, CJay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they benched Ramondre last year, I think, for Gibson for like 1 or 2 games.
They said they were going to, but Mayo forgot because he's just a complete moron. And was like, oh, yeah, we're going to bench him.
He had like 6 fumbles in 10 games, and Mayo was like, yeah, we're gonna bench him this week. And then, right before the game started, and Mike Reese was like, wait, Stevenson's starting? He's like, oh, yeah.
Idiots. Gibson
isn't bad either. Like, Gibson's good. Gibson's efficient on his touches. So for Dylan Sampson, I think it just sucks for him in general. Like, he's one of the younger running backs in this class. I liked him, but I didn't have him like anywhere crazy, like top 5 or top 7 or anything. I think I had him just short of top 10, or no, just inside my top 10. Sorry. But now I'd definitely move him outside. With Judkins there, it's just like Judkins is better in my opinion. So
yeah, that's how I feel. When Quinshon Judkins, he's a workhorse. Like, I know at Ohio State he didn't have to be, but at Ole Miss he was averaging like, I want to say like 270-ish carries per year as a true freshman, true sophomore in the SEC. He's a 3-down back. He carries the workload. He doesn't get hurt. I don't think he missed a game in 3 years. And they're similar backs as well. Like, you think Sampson, because he's 5'8", that he's this great pass catcher. He's not. I think he averaged around like 10 receiving yards per game in college. So like, he's not even going to bring that like Henderson role, like which Judkins did flourish with last year. It's just they're kind of the similar backs, and Judkins is just the better back of the two.
Judkins also tested extremely well.
Judkins the freak. I think he was even better than Giddens, who I talked about was like 41st out of 2,100 backs. I believe Judkins was like top 20 of all those metrics.
Yeah, I was trying to confirm that, but yeah, Judkins ran like a 4.48. That's 81st percentile. That's a 91st percentile speed score for his size. He's got a 92nd percentile burst score. So all those boxes are checked. Dylan Sampson actually didn't test very well. So that was a little concerning. And then also the metrics for me too were a little concerning, but obviously he's one of the younger running backs. But yeah, Judkins.
There's some rumblings too that Stefanski might be going for that whole kind of Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt vibe when he had both those guys and try to pair those two. I can totally see that pan out. It has been a very good run scheme when it's running at its best, when it has talent running in that zone scheme. And Sampson is a great zone runner. So I could see him 10-ish carries a game doing some real damage. But I'm going with that. What's that?
They have Jerome Ford, though.
Yeah, I think Ford's dead. When I'm doing my
I do too. I don't think he's good at all, but he exists. So
he's not going to do a thing. When you draft these two running backs, Ford's getting kicked to the wind unless Sampson really can't pass protect or gets blown up. Yeah, that's where Ford could potentially come back in. This is Judkins' backfield. I would be shocked if Sampson's even 30% compared to what the 60 to 70% Judkins is going to get. And the fact that Judkins was the third running back off the board, top of round 2, a fringe first round capital almost there. He's going to feast. He's another one of those ones you could call a winner from this draft class as well. We went into like our 3 or 4 favorite ones, but just to toss out a few other names I've seen people mentioning as winners: Scatabo going to the Giants, where he could be truly a true 3-down back, unseat Tyrone Tracy. That sounds like our guy over there, Tanner, thinks is going to happen. I think Tootin ends up in a nice spot there with Jacksonville, bringing that explosiveness, and Liam Cohen's offense seems to